Kant called Rousseau the Newton of the mind, which is a very, very interesting title because in the 18th century, everybody wanted to be the Newton of the mind. Everybody wanted to be another Newton. And that shows a couple of things. One is Newton was just valorized. He was the hero. He was the pinnacle of intellectual achievement. But also, physics at that point in time wasn't really seen as a separate part of human knowledge in the way that it is now. It was all sort of a continuum. So what was the idea of becoming the Newton of the mind? Well, it was just understanding the world in a marvelous, deep, conceptually changing way. So being able to connect something as apparently unconnected as the moon and the tides, which just seemed to be two different spheres. So everybody wanted to come up with another great set of discoveries the way that Newton had. And having dealt with the cosmos, of course, the next thing that people felt ought to be dealt with was the human mind or the human soul. So everyone wanted to be the next Newton. Hume wanted to be the next Newton. He wrote about it quite clearly. And the only person whom Kant ever called the Newton of the mind was Rousseau. It's an extraordinary statement. And as far as I know, nobody succeeded in explaining it until you think about the problem of evil. When Kant says that Rousseau is the Newton of the mind, what he means is that just as Newton showed that where it looked like there was chaos in the cosmos, there turns out to be order and harmony, Rousseau showed that where it looked like there was chaos in the human soul and where it looked as if there was unexplained evil in the world, there was in fact order, and it in fact made sense, and the world truly is the way it ought to be. This is early Kant, of course. Kant. So what does that mean? What it means is that Rousseau was the first person to really confront the problem of evil in all its seriousness outside of a purely theological framework, and to come up with an explanation of evil that's naturalistic. It doesn't depend on grace. It doesn't depend on a miracle. It says human beings can understand evil. They can understand it because evil is something historical. It didn't come into being in the Garden of Eden. You can explain how it happens in naturalistic terms. And if we can understand how it happened, we have a chance of understanding how to